Welcome to Cosmic Comics, Games and Collectibles, your zen of geekism. We carry comics old and new, magazines, toys, games like Pokemon, Magic, D&D. Want Godzilla, Ultraman, Star Trek, Ninja Turtles, Funko Pops? You'll find it all here. Shop our Cosmic Sound Room and pick up a record or two. Enjoy our Comic Coffee Lounge with a cup of Sasquatch coffee while geeking out over a super cool movie on our big screen. Cosmic Comic, Games and Collectibles. Superman loves us, and so will you.
And we're all in our places with bright, shining faces. It is a Critical Blast open topic. Who talked? Who said something? Let's turn up my volume.
Well, I think I had already muted my YouTube page there, so I don't think that echo's coming from me.
No, it wasn't an echo. I thought somebody said something, or at least I didn't think it was an echo.
Yeah, I said it was that rain. I heard rain.
Oh no, that was applause, good sir.
Oh,
that was. I
wait
have.
a minute. Is that like Nancy Pelosi saying please applause, or Bush?
No, let's see politics out tonight.
Yeah. We.
What a horrible woman she is.
2 points.
Hey, I'm going for the comedy whenever I can. So, yeah, it's just the open topic night. We talk about whatever you guys want to talk about in the world of comics, in the world of pop culture, and that, of course, includes professional wrestling, also known as RJ's Nap Time.
Well, first off, book that came out this week, fantastic book. Hats off to Sarah Fazetta and all them. But this book is fantastic.
Let me give you the big screen. Now, that's a graphic novel, right?
No, this is a comic book.
Comic book. Okay.
Yeah, this number 5. This does come with Frank Fazetta's Sea Witch painting on it. That's why you don't see the whole thing. It's a wraparound cover.
Okay.
So it is Frank Frazetta art on the cover. It is her story. It's a really good book.
Very, very cool. But I believe other books came out this week, if I'm not mistaken.
That's the only one I actually bought. Now, if you're talking about crowdfunding, yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff that dropped this week.
Yeah, but didn't a certain hardcover break some records for you this week?
Mine's a novel, so it doesn't count as comic book. But yeah,
Pop culture.
I'll put it like yes, this came out almost 2 weeks ago, and I hit number 15 in the hard chart. So it blew out the doors. My website almost crashed. I've been packing books all weekend to mail out tomorrow. So thanks everybody who picked up my new book. And if you didn't get the new book and you went ahead and got book 1, 2, and 3 all together, thank you so much. I had a bunch of those orders. So thanks to everybody. And look out, because coming soon, I'm going to have a Halloween special. So get ready for that.
Very cool. We also had a hardcover arrive.
Nice.
So, and it does, as promised, include, let me find the page it's on. Pages. Come on, Troy Reiser, where's your story? Here we go. So you can see we have artwork in the book preceding the chapters for which artwork was done, which is only 2 of them. The story by Troy Reiser and the story by Mike Barron. So if you crowdfunded this, you'll be receiving it shortly. All we're doing now is waiting on a shipment of autograph labels. They're being signed. They're being on a trek around the country to the different authors that are signing it. And when they're here, they're out the door.
Very nice.
Won't take very long. Unfortunately, I wish it could take all night, because that would have meant we sold a bunch of books. But
all right. Well, actually, there's something I've been wanting to ask James about for the last 2 or 3 weeks here, because a major story came out a few weeks ago. I've kind of subtitled it "The Fallout from All Out." If you get what I'm,
yeah. I actually saw it live when it went down, so I actually saw it, and I do not have any love. And I'm going to say this real quick. I have never been a
setup?
The setup is we had a wrestler, I'm going to say his name, CM Punk, drop a pipe bomb after the pay-per-view. And basically, he ripped everybody in the kitchen sink. There was a big, after he made his pipe bomb speech and really going off on everybody, there was a big fight in the back. People got suspended. People got everything like that. My personal opinion is...
Can you explain, because I don't know if RJ knows what the term pipe bomb means.
Basically, he didn't. This wasn't scripted. This was a complete. Yeah, this was a.
I kind of got that from context, but
meltdown.
Once I realized he didn't drop a literal one.
My personal view is he's always been a hardhead. He's always been a problem, even when he was WWE. Before he went to WWE, I know several promoters who had problems with him. He lives up to his name, Punk. He really does. He lives up to his name. He causes problems wherever he goes. He does draw a lot of people and everything like that. But, this, in my viewpoint, he needs to be fired. He needs to be terminated immediately. He needs to be removed, because you don't want that kind of stuff in the back, especially when all the wrestlers now hate him. in the back. That's the reports coming from the back.
Yeah.
It's
I actually saw that earlier today on WrestleMania, where they were talking about that. Basically, everybody in AEW now, like, basically, as more of the investigation was done, it's basically the consensus is he threw the first punch.
No, well, yeah. If you didn't watch his speech, he lambasted everybody. He called off everybody and chewed everybody out, and even the boss. I mean, that's just stupid.
Well,
You're
here's the
getting
thing, though. It's professional wrestling. How can anybody who's a casual fan not think that that's a job? I mean, this doesn't happen in any other industry.
No. If you actually watch what he says, he calls people by their real names.
Okay.
Okay, the minute you do that, that's not script. That is not script at all.
Well, no,
that's
he
straight
still,
up. That's straight up.
He was still using their ring names, but
no, not when it came to Cabana. He used his real name.
Okay, I did see portions of that
No,
conference. I didn't realize
he used it. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Now, Mick and Nick Jackson use their real names when they wrestle. That's their real names. Okay, but when you have this guy go off like he did, that's breach of contract. That's, you're not supposed to be doing that, and that you're gone. And that's why they stripped him of the title immediately. That's why he was sent home. You haven't seen him on TV since then. They had to suspend the Bucks and Omega for a while, but I do look for CM Punk being fired. He'll probably end up being what's known as blacklisted from wrestling. He really messed this up, because not only that, other promoters look at him. Because like right now, New Japan Pro Wrestling has a real good deal with AEW, and they were thinking about talking with Punk. No more. They'll take Danielson. They love Danielson. They love John Moxley, but Japan will not touch CM Punk now. And bridges there.
And of course, part of the reason why this is such a big story, RJ, is it kind of goes back to what you asked us, when we were last all here together, about the idea of, well, if it's all scripted, why do you have a world champion? This is a prime example of that situation, because you need somebody to be the face of the company. Like right now, AEW is trying to get renew its TV deal with
Warner Brothers.
Yeah, with Warner Brothers. And Tony Khan is also trying to work out a TV deal for Ring of Honor too.
Well, see, here's the situation they've got right now, and I'll explain the whole thing. First off, your world champion is your face of the company. That means he needs to go to all your events, all your promos, everything. So if you have a book, like you're going to have a meeting with New Japan Pro Wrestling, your champion needs to go with the executives. You need to show them who your main face is, who the main guy is. He's got to push your brand in like that. And when you have this person that's a main guy pull this stunt, it makes the company look bad. And especially at the moment when he's trying to work a deal with Zaslav. Because Zaslav owns TBS.
Right.
And right now, Turner you saw what happened to Cartoon Network. Have you heard? You've heard what happened?
No, I haven't. I haven't actually heard what happened.
He went in there and cleaned house. They're all gone at Cartoon Network. Everybody is gone. He released everybody. There's a whole new crew coming,
including the Toonami.
Yes,
including guys like Jason DeMarco.
Yeah, they're all gone. Everybody's gone. The VP that was over it, the president that was over it, they're all gone. He got rid of all of them. Not only that, the head of Turner is gone. Why do you think Don Lemon now is on the morning show?
Now that I did hear about, yeah.
They are cleaning house. Let me put it to you this way. When that meeting went down with creditors, and yes, I am a stockholder of Warner Brother Discovery stock. Okay, and I'm not happy with that stock anyway, but I'm holding on to it because I can sit here and yell and gripe about it because I actually own part of the company. But when that meeting went down, if you don't think the creditors were pissed, you have no idea. I mean, you have no idea how big of a hole they're in. And it's not $50 billion. It's a lot worse. And so you're seeing all this sell-off because you saw what the WB did, what happened with CW. CW is gone. You saw what they did with DC. What's that virtual comic book convention they have?
Fandom.
Oh,
It's
Fandom?
canceled. It's
Yeah,
canceled.
Fandom got canceled.
Yeah, it's all got canceled. But I did hear this: DC will make a presence at New York Comic Con,
About time.
but we don't know what DC it is. We don't know if it's DC Entertainment or if it's going to be comics or what. But if you notice now, Todd McFarlane's got a bigger hand in DC Comics.
I haven't seen anything about that other than he does a Flash comic for a toy.
Okay, let me explain what's going on with that. Zaslav has called for Warner Brothers to do a systematic audit of everything of DC Comics. Now, how good of an audit they're going to do, I found this out. I was shocked. Warner Brothers has all sales for every month for every comic book ever since they bought DC Comics.
Of course they do. Everybody's known this. No accountant company worth their salt would not know exactly what they
It's not
sold.
done. But they also have all the salaries, all the money that's been paid out, everything. I mean, they got everything to the penny. So they've got it all. And the way I'm hearing it, this may be where they called Todd McFarlane. Because
Okay.
they may say, you know what, we can outsource all this stuff to Todd on a limited basis and cut everybody out of DC Comics and save $100-200 million.
Well, would that mean then that Todd would in essence be working for two comic companies then, DC and Image, because he's still doing stuff for Image with Spawn, right?
I think he'd be more online as a consultant or a contracting agency.
Image Comics is not your basic typical comic book company. Okay.
Right. They're more of a publisher.
Yeah, that's what they are. They're basically like how do I put this? They're basically like a type of Pingham House. They got this little bit of office up front, and you pay them. The studios like McFarlane, Silvestri stuff pays into them to publish the books. That's it. They don't have any control over books, studios, whatnot. So if like Silvestri, if you didn't know, Silvestri's drawing Batman.
Yeah.
So
Batman's fun.
they went and got Silvestri to help. They went and got McFarlane to help. And McFarlane is this lover of Batman. He loves Batman. And now Jim Lee and Sop LaBelle are back drawing Batman. So, it's starting to look like they're trying to show that DC's profitable and can make a profit with the right people in place. But also they're looking at if Todd can pull some stuff off of these toys and Todd can pull some stuff off of these comic books, it would be cheaper to offload the characters and everything to Todd and his crew because they've got a track record of being profitable when our track record is not. You could see a massive, unbelievably massive termination of DC Comics.
Well, we keep hearing that might happen any day, but
Well, I also heard this. Up until December 15th, 30% of Warner Brothers staff will be laid off across the board.
yeah. I mean, I also heard they got rid of the entire Batgirl movie off the servers, and now I'm hearing, we might see a release of it of some kind. So
Would you like to know how much of it really is done?
apparently not the whole thing.
Oh, no, not even close. Preliminary shooting was at almost 90%. Preliminary shooting.
Oh boy, that's what they spent $90 million on.
Uh-huh. Now, here's the other thing about this little fiasco on Batgirl. Oh, we need to see it. They did test screenings with test groups. And at every test screening, half the audience got up before the movie was over and walked out, saying it was so bad.
Oh boy.
Yeah, well, I was hearing that back when the story first opened.
Okay. Now, if you want to put it in technical terms, yeah, they lost $90 million. But for reshoot, special effects, and everything they had to go back in and fix, would have cost them another $150 million. That's before advertising. Now, advertising would have cost another $65 to $100 million. The projected influx of money for that movie was going to be around $400 million. It wouldn't have
They're
even
never gonna make that.
Hello, Robert. Robert's
chat.
here. He's got a very interesting question there.
Yeah. Okay. So, does anyone have any impartial observation? That's key about how DC's expanded Batman line is selling.
Yeah, it's the only thing
and-
keeping the company open.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean,
if that's
seriously,
what sells,
Batman is selling. Batman sells. That's the only thing they've got that's selling because everything else is just sitting.
yeah, literally, if you have a Baskin Robbins with 31 flavors, and your vanilla and your French vanilla outsell all the other flavors 10-1, you find other flavors of vanilla to throw in that thing because that's what your market apparently likes, and you start kicking off the things like Mint Ripple and Rocky Road that are selling less. You give the customers what they're buying.
Robert, you know that they've got like 22 Batman titles, right? That they're pushing out, graphic novels, everything they can. They're doing everything they can to keep Batman in the front. Why do you think they're doing? Jim Lee and Jeff Lawdell's coming back to drawing Batman issues. Mark Silvestri's drawing Batman issues. Todd McFarlane's doing Batman Spawn. Yes, it's selling. It sells a lot. That's what's saving DC Comics right now.
I
But
mean,
here's the
well,
question.
it's what it's coming down to is I think the whole idea of get woke, go broke is really finally coming to full fruition here. I mean,
I mean, you got to understand when I'm talking money on losses. Everybody talks around $50 billion. That's with a B, not with an M. Okay, that's a lot of money, and in actuality, it's a lot more than that. So they have to cut costs because at this point you're dealing with creditors. Okay, creditors don't care what you got. They don't care about Batman. They don't care about Spider-Man. They don't care about who's doing what movie or whatnot. What they care about is our returns, and right now they're not getting any returns. So of course, because what the creditors should have done in that meeting at the quarterly meeting is real simple. We're cutting all lines of credit.
Right.
If they'd have said that, Warner Brothers, DC Comics, and everybody would have been dead on arrival.
Well, the thing I'm curious about the Batman books, though, are they learning the right lesson here by increasing more Batman books? And by that, what I mean is Batman selling more books because people like Batman, or is Batman selling more books because they've written intriguing and entertaining stories for the character?
It depends on the book. It really does. It depends on the book. I mean, seriously, some Batman titles are selling because of the story. Others are selling because of the art. Others are selling because it's got Batman's title on it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it is. But the bottom line is they're selling.
I mean, there's been some speculation that they've been throwing some ideas out, and I think we even talked a little bit about it last time we're all together, where they were throwing out the whole idea of Batman and Robin now being gay.
Nope, that got shut down. Real quick.
Well, now they're going to do the Batman versus Robin for the fate of the universe, not just like
oh no, come on.
It's the multiversal fulcrum of everything.
No, the other thing I've heard is once Zaslav gets into DC Comics, they're going to do a complete reset.
I've heard that there's a new Crisis coming.
And I'll be honest with you, it needs to happen. It really does.
And not like this Dark Crisis came out that was, by the way, completely spoiled the entire ending, and the series isn't even done yet. In the opening pages of Flashpoint Beyond #5, they spent 4 pages with Mr. Terrific and one of the time travelers.
Which Mr. Terrific?
The current one, the one that's in the books right now.
Michael Holt.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they didn't bring back the dead one.
Yeah, very long.
But they're like, so what just happened in this Dark Crisis? And he tells them from beginning to end.
I mean, the thing that they banked on that really didn't go, because real simple, they launched it too early, was the vampire stuff, the vampire hunting and stuff.
Right.
They started.
It was an alternate universe anyway.
Yeah, but they should have dropped it and started in September and ran it instead of starting it in June.
Well, they're still running them. I mean, they're
still running it, but I mean, it would have been a better kickoff if you'd done it in September.
Yeah, get it that Halloween thing going.
Yeah, because then everybody been in the mood for Halloween and stuff. Yeah. But in all, DC has made so many mistakes, and Warner Brothers is now the big bosses are now looking at DC Comics. I do expect, as heads of DC Comics, Jim Lee, and I keep forgetting the other person's name, will be out. I really do. I think Jim Lee will be put on because he's trying to get that Wildstorm stuff back up and running.
Yeah.
I think, because that's what I said do, but the way he's doing it, I don't know.
I don't think anybody knows the other person's name. I mean, Daniel Cherry left, and they're like, "Are we going to replace him?" And it's like, well, not yet.
But
Apparently, wasn't doing anything that important. If we can continue doing the company without his being there,
what I mean is, I think you'll see Jim Lee get a secondary role. He'll stay as artist, he'll stay on, but he's not going to have control of the company, like you said, because he's ran it in the ground. I'm sorry, he's ran it in the ground.
well, that's because he's not taking control of the company.
Yeah, I know.
Dan DiDio had control of the company, and Jim was like, "What? Oh, okay."
No,
What?
I mean, Jim is not Todd McFarlane. Jim
No.
does not have the business aspects that Todd McFarlane had. Jim's idea of Wildstorm was real simple. I'm going to make it. I'm going to show up. My characters are better. I have a better company. I have better books. And then Marvel will make me a deal and I'll go back to Marvel. That was his whole plan when he went into Image. That was it.
Yep.
He was not really one that was really on board. He was looking at it as a stepping stone to get better stuff, control of X-Men. That's what his whole stick was. And everybody fell in line and sinker with all the books because I loved all the books. And then when he went over to when Marvel said no and DC said yes, of course, if you're going to get paid that many millions of dollars, I would have gone to DC Comics.
Yeah.
You'd have to be stupid not to. And he's set for money wise, he's set for life. They all are. Silvestri, McFarlane, they're all set for life.
And of course, he lost control of X-Men, and now X-Men is Magneto is literally heartless right now.
Dude, I was watching. And then we got the new. Oh my God, we need to make Rogue black. I was like, what? I was like, give me a break. It's like every time you turn around, we're going to change this color, this person to black. We're going to change. You got Storm, you got Bishop. Why aren't you working with them?
Yeah.
Come on. Quit changing characters when you got to that you could put on screen because Storm is one of the most beloved X-Men of all time. Everybody loves Storm. Whether you're white, black, Chinese, whatever. Everybody who read X-Men in the 70s, 80s, and 90s loved Storm. She was fantastic.
She was such a badass character that she led the team when she
For
had
10
no
years.
power.
For 10 years, she led the team.
Yeah.
She was great.
With no power.
What is the hatred towards Storm? Oh, because she was African and she, she wasn't American black. What the hell? I same with Bishop. Bishop's from Britain, so we can't have him. We got to have an American black girl. Why? Come on. Storm, Bishop are the two best X-Men that they designed that were black. Storm is one of the icons of the X-Men. Any team that you put together, what's one of the persons you put with it? Storm.
Well, yeah, I do know in at least two of the cartoons, X-Men animated series from the 90s, as well as X-Men Evolution 2001, Storm was a key character in those as well. It was like the second in command on the field in the animated series, and then she was actually one of the teachers at the school in
but in the comic books, she was leader. She led. When they launched X-Men #1 and 287 or something like that for Uncanny X-Men. When they did that split, where Jim Lee took one, Wes Pistachio, and Archie Bear was in the other one. Right. The teams were split. Who were the leaders? Cyclops was an X-Men. Storm was Uncanny X-Men. That was your two leaders. They were the leaders of the X-Men.
Besides which, can you imagine if they were to recast Rogue with a black actress and the trailers come out and she puts out her first Sugar and Honey Child, the reaction that would come out?
I know. But that's, y'all saw that email. And then, I'm sitting here going like, holy crap, this is bad. And then, of course, we have this debacle that's going on with Rotten Tomatoes getting caught with a 99% 5-star reviews on Rotten Tomatoes for this warrior, this female king, warrior queen, king, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then I actually went and looked her up. Okay, I actually went and looked up the real person.
The character.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, she's evil. Okay, this is what she did.
She sold slaves.
She enslaved everybody around her and sold her to the Europeans. So most So a lot of the American slaves that were over here in the 1700s was because of her.
Yeah.
But yet we're supposed to, powerful. This whole thing. I'm like going, what?
Well,
Yeah,
it was said in Isaiah. It was said in Isaiah, in the Bible, that there will come a time when evil is called good and good is called evil.
Oh,
And we are in that time right now.
We've been there a long time.
We've been there for
Yeah.
a while.
I mean,
But-
anyways, I want to go back to the AEW story because there's a couple other things in there that
That'll be a real story, by the way, if Bryan Danielson wins the title.
Well, no.
That's one of the things I wanted to get in. With what we've been talking about, with the idea of the champion being the face of the company, who do you think is likely to win the title? That's one of the things. There's a few other
I think right now the best bet, because of, yeah. Yes, thank you, Robert. I agree with you 100%. Yeah, she's already got it. I mean, there'll be riots if she didn't get it. So yeah, she's already got it. Yeah, but on AEW's thing, I think I would give it to Danielson. I really would. I'd put it on him. And I'll tell you why.
I have heard some commentators say that they might be looking to do that just because moving forward. I think they think that Danielson would actually be the better fit moving forward.
It's not the fit. I'll tell you what the big deal is. Danielson loves to go, and he wants to go to Japan and wrestle. He wants to go to Noah. He wants to go to New Japan Pro Wrestling and defend the title to show how good everybody in AEW is. And he's got the right attitude. So right now, and his name brings in people. He sells tickets. Him and Moxley both.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Moxley is also is trying to become the first 3-time AEW World Champion in that as well. What's this?
Who put the bullseye on him?
Well, that's Dr. Manhattan.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
Dr. Manhattan. The year is 2005. CM Punk has left ROH, and now they're making me champion. The year is 2014. CM Punk has just left WWE, and now they're making me champion. The year is 2022. It's when CM Punk leaves, Danielson becomes champ.
Pretty much.
That's been the pattern.
No, but I mean, I would put it on Danielson. I really would. I think putting it on him would be the safest bet, and plus he can make all his, contractual stuff, and and Danielson likes working with AEW, so he's not going to cause any.
He's not going to be dropping any pipe bombs, but neither is Moxley.
No, Moxley is a little bit different than Danielson. Moxley is a little loose. The only thing that's keeping Moxley in line is his wife. Okay, that's the only thing keeping him in line. And because he's known to just wing. I mean, he wings his promos anyway. So, that's just what it is. I will say this: I did enjoy the pay-per-view. I thought it was a really good pay-per-view. I thought it did really good. The only thing I'm getting tired of is, hey, we're bringing all these Japanese wrestlers over and they all lose. No, don't do that, dude. I'd have had ECU.
That sounds kind of disrespectful. I mean, if they're said to have a good working relationship with Japan,
well, the thing about
that almost seems disrespectful.
Now, I will say this about the title: the triple match between Okada, White, and Adam Cole. That's not the way it was supposed to end. It's just that Adam Cole got hurt, and Jay White and Okada saw it. They did a real quick roll up and finish. Adam suffered a very bad concussion. That's why you haven't seen him in the ring since then. So, this thing about, people don't get hurt in wrestling. Yes, they do.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of wrestlers get hurt, and a lot of the damage on their bodies. That's why when you look at how young wrestlers are when they die, they put their bodies on the line. They really do. Yeah. And hats off.
I know there's a lot of concern right now for Jeff Hardy because of
Hardy
his in-ring style. Plus,
Jeff Hardy is a loose cannon. Jeff Hardy never took care of himself. Okay, Jeff Hardy is his own worst enemy. He's been in rehab several times, and again, he's going to be in rehab again. And he's not his brother. Matt is got a loving wife, kids. He's the way I put it is, Matt Hardy's like Kevin Von Erich. Okay, that's exactly what Matt Hardy's like. Jeff Hardy's like Kerry Von Erich.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the difference between the two brothers. Okay, if you know anything
You're
about
almost have to hope that Jeff doesn't necessarily suffer the same fate Kerry did.
yeah. But I'm just saying that's what you're looking at between those two.
All right.
Right now, I do send out condolences and everything to Japan. They have a massive tsunami right now coming into Japan. I know they had to cancel the AEW, not the AEW, but the New Japan Pro Wrestling and no events that they were going to have down there because of the weather. It's really bad. Also, this is really one that most people may not know. We lost a pioneer lady. I'm going to say lady. That was in comic books. She passed away at 101. Just to give you a little background on this lady, her name is Lily Renee Phillips. She is a survivor of the attacks and everything that Hitler did to Austria and to the countries around. She got out and got to the United States. Okay, she could have ended up in concentration camps. She faced off against real Nazis, real people who were murdering people just because of their ethnicity. And then she got over here and she got into the comic book business. She is credited for the actual panel page. So this is the lady who came up with this. So anytime you hear about, oh, we're making strides for ladies here and then like that, she was first.
What is a panel page? Because comics were being told in panels long before she began doing comics.
The actual, the Z formation. When we read comic books, we read it in a Z, like from here. That was her idea, to get the eyes to flow in a Z pattern.
Basically where it's like this.
Where you go from the top corner and then zigzag down and coming back across. She's credited for that.
I don't know how, because like I said,
I don't know. That's what it says. That's all it says.
Yeah, that's how we were reading Action Comics number 1 in 1938.
I don't know.
To right and down.
She did something, but she's credited for a couple of things. So, let me share the screen. But I will say this: looking at her artwork, I mean, I'm sorry, guys, but she draws women better than some of the guys today.
You were showing that to us before the show.
So here's her artwork. This is actually her artwork. I mean, that is something, I would expect, Jim Lee or anybody like that today to draw. But man, she didn't hold back.
There's some pretty good definition here too.
I mean, she was really something. So, but hats off to her. 101 years old. So, which
likely meant that she was born probably in 1921 then.
Yeah, she's 21. Yeah, she wasn't a child when she got out of Germany. She was an adult. So that's, not Germany, but Austria. So, but yeah.
By the way, she looked a lot like her character.
Yeah. She was a beautiful lady. It's inserting your own style, your own person into it, but not changing the story up.
Yeah, this work that you're showing here that she did, this is better than 98% of what's being turned in today in comics.
I mean, she's fantastic. I mean, could you see her doing Batgirl?
That'd be sweet.
Well,
that would have been.
RJ, I got a question for you, because you've been on some of my historical comic retrospects. How would you compare that stuff to today, and then how would you compare that stuff to here as well? Like the artwork from what you've seen when you've been on with me.
Well, I think that this artwork that she's doing is better than the artwork we've been seeing.
Yeah.
She definitely took it up a notch.
And then what about the artwork that we were seeing in the Golden Age compared to today?
Well, the Golden Age artwork we see in things like the clock or the other characters, like I said, they're just people's names. They're not superhero names now. that they were serviceable and they were a lot simpler. But there were very few back then that were really, really good artists. Mac Raboy comes to mind, if I'm saying his last name correctly, the guy who did the covers and the interiors for Captain Marvel Jr. That stuff was on an Alex Ross level if he'd been painting it.
But the thing that always got me was the backlash, the pushback she got, because again, this is in the 1940s. This is women aren't supposed to be doing stuff like this. It's that pushback, and then she puts out this gorgeous stuff.
Oh yeah, I think the style of this is also reminiscent of because I think Iger did a little bit of it too with the Sheena strip that we've been reading. Let's see, I think the term they used for it was good girl art. Would you say this is along those lines?
It was good girl pinup art, but Lily was working. She would have had to have been a contemporary of June Tarpe Mills. Who was doing the work in Miss Fury, which was also some of the sexiest women drawn in comics at the time.
I mean, like I said, and I did kill off. I didn't know about her much until I saw her one time at a convention. She showed up at a convention several years ago, and then I saw the tweet about her passing away. So that's the only interaction I've ever had with her or anything like that. But that was back, 95. Yeah, about almost 30 years ago.
Yeah, 27 years ago. So at that point, if she was 101 now, she would have been like 74 back then.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the artists, like the original, Green Lantern guy, I can't think of his name, but he was doing, early 90s. He was doing book signings and stuff. They
Mark
had
Nodell or Sheldon Moldoff.
Mark.
Okay.
Yeah, but they, a lot of the golden age artists that were still around. Shelley, what's his name? Drew Batman back in the 50s. For Bob Kane, they ghosted for Bob Kane.
Sheldon Moldoff.
Yeah, I've got 5 or 6 books autographed by him.
Yeah, I've got 2 of them by him.
Yeah,
he was the guy who was at the Chicago Con in a room pretty much by himself, no one going in there, with a great big portrait of Green Lantern, Golden Age behind him, and his wife was with him, and I was like, this was late 80s. DC was doing another JSA book. They were just launching. I'm like, why are they launching JSA and not having you draw it? And his wife was like, would you go tell them that? Because, he was still capable of doing work.
Well, yeah, I mean, the thing was when you walked up with the books, I'm talking about the old Batman books and you handed it to him, and he's like going, how long have you had these? And I said, well, I got them from my cousins, 10, 15 years ago, because I collected Batman. He goes, you've had these books that long? And I said, yeah, they had them longer than I did. They're like, oh, thank you. And he was surprised that, because I was a young guy. I wasn't, I'm 50 now, so I was young.
Yeah.
I was in my early 20s. And he's like, I don't get very many young people looking at my stuff anymore. I said, I'll look at it. Art's art to me. I'll look at anything. Comic book art's comic book art. I mean, it's just like, the other day was
Sheldon Moldoff, right?
Yeah, he died in 2012.
He died in 2012.
Well, at some point, we'll probably be looking at some of his work soon enough.
But I mean, it's what I like doing is when you meet one of these guys, is pulling up a chair and just talking to them. And I mean, they'll sit there and talk with you all day about what they did and how, the one that got me was a story about the boiler room. You heard about that, right?
I didn't.
I don't know if I have or not.
Okay, New York, DC Comics has just started. Their artists are in a boiler room, kid you not, in a circle around the boiler. They've got the drawing board up in their legs, and they're drawing comic books in this boiler room. That's their office. That's it. That's DC Comics to 100%.
Oh, yeah, I think you actually were talking about this last time we were all together.
Yeah.
I
do recall it.
Yeah, they were in the boiler room. Yeah, I heard that story. I was like, you got to be kidding. He's like, no. He had pictures of it. He was like, yeah, we're all in this boiler room, drawing comic books down in this New York building because that's all the company could afford.
Yeah, well, the company was selling millions of copies of books. They could probably have afforded more shortly after that, but that's what they spent money on. But yeah, the conventions in the 80s, it was very much walk up to a person, sit down, talk at length.
I'll put it to you this way: except for Neil Adams, may he rest in peace. my first comic book convention was the New York City Comic Con, 1988, and I got to walk up and just sit down and talk with Jim Lee. So
Yeah.
I've told a story. I mean, that's the way it was. Nobody was famous at that time. Well, Neil Adams was, and stuff like that. But I mean, like the new guys, they weren't that famous. You could get up there. I mean, I got a stack of books that high autographed by all these guys. Back then, I mean, one of the funniest ones was George Perez. I mean, you walk up to George Perez, oh, what do you got? And then, that plate set. I had him the plate set. I just thought he was just going to sign the cover of the plate set. Oh no, He opened it up. He took all the plates out. He signed every plate of it. And he goes, "You got any comic books too?" I was like, "Well, yeah." So I handed him all the comic books. He signed all the comic books. He was like, "So you really like the artwork?" I was like, "Yeah, I've been a fan of yours for years." You know?
I mean, and it was, even the old timers you could walk up to. I walked up, like I said, Sheldon Maldoff, sat there and talked with him and his wife Shirley for a while. Dick Sprang was there, and I was in Joker getup, mind you. I was one of the early cosplayers because nobody was cosplaying in 1989. And he talked about drawing the Joker and ruining his hand, doing that kind of stuff. Sat down with Jim Aparo and talked to him. I walked up to a table where Denny O'Neil was getting ready to leave, and he saw me coming with a book, and I saw him leaving. I'm like, I'll come back. He's like, no, bring it on over. And,
if they see you back then, I mean, I remember the Extreme Studios tour. Okay, this is 94-ish, and they had the Black Book. What was that, 95? 94, 95. And you had everybody, Brett Michaels, Danny Mickey, Dan Frager, Rob Liefeld, you name them. They were all just lined up. They were at the same table. There was like 3 tables lined on them like that. And they're just sitting there, and you walk up, and I kid you not, I set it down. Danny would sign it, pass it. I mean, he wouldn't hand it back to you. He'd pass it down like it's going down a conveyor belt. Everybody just signs it, and Rob would be the last one down there. You walk down there, and he goes, "You started down there, didn't you?" I was like, "Yeah." He says, "You should start down here." But I'll say this: if you're Rob Liefeld, as much grief as he's taken over the years, is one of the nicest guys to ever do your art reviews with. He is such a sweetheart. Great guy.
I keep hearing that.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's the way it was.
There was one last point I wanted to hit up on the AEW story.
Let's make that the wrap up here then.
Okay.
So with AEW trying to get a new TV contract with TBS and TNT, what's your impression of what do you think David Zaslav's attitude is on pro wrestling in regards to that?
Well, okay. This is what Zaslav is going to look at. He's going to look at 2 things. One, ad revenue. And the thing about it is right now, AEW is the hottest ticket for ad revenue on Turner. That means the advertisers want to be on AEW because they got the biggest, and so that's number 1. Number 2, how many people
some of the booking issues they've had?
I'll put it like this: if I can get 1.5 million people's eyes on a product, I don't care what kind of drama they're having.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm getting 1.5 million eyes on my product, I'll pay for it.
Well, I'm talking more about the booking issues, though.
The booking issues is not going to be there's not going to be a thing. That's not okay. There's the wrestling. What's happening when you go to stands and stuff like that, and wrestling stuff like that. What I'm talking about is marketing. Am I making money? Is TBS making money off of AEW? How does TBS make money off of AEW? Advertised revenue. How do they get advertised revenue? How many people are turning in? Say I'm Coca-Cola, okay? I want to run an ad at 8:00 on Thursday. This is my time. What's on at 8:00 on Thursday? Well, I look at all the shows. Here's AEW, here's CNN, here's Fox, here's ABC, whatnot. AEW's got 1.5 million viewers. Fox has got 500,000. ABC's got 250,000. What do you think I'm going to run my ad over here at AEW with 1.5 million? That's the key, because they'll pay more to get on that program than they would ABC. And what does that do? That makes the bottom line For Turner, big money. That was the whole deal with why did Warner Brothers, when they got Turner, cancel WCW when WCW was the number one program they had. That was the big, what the hell are you doing?
Because they didn't feel they were getting the ad revenue.
No, it wasn't part of their model of the company they wanted to take it in.
Oh yeah, that would have been a good lead into another question. Is some people are drawing comparisons to the relationship TNT and TBS had with WCW to the relationship they have with AEW.
No, it's completely different. It's completely different. It is a completely different setup. It's a completely different agreement. It's completely different. It's not the same.
I do remember when Ted Turner did sell to Warner Brothers, Time Warner, whatever it was back then. A lot of things did change because a lot of the people in the boardroom just, whereas, as you know, Ted Turner was an avid wrestling fan. He was very much into it. And
if it was not for Ted Turner, Jim Crockett Promotions would have closed 20 years before it did. I mean, that's the truth. If because you have to understand something, at the end of the 80s, going into the 90s, Jim Crockett Promotions was in the red. They were bleeding money. They were mismanaged. They were having problems. When they sold to Ted Turner came in as a lifeline to save the company. He loved wrestling. He had always had wrestling in the 80s on his television network, and he wanted to keep it there. Mm-hmm. And he saved it. And to Bischoff, I have to say this. For a guy who took a company they were $500,000 in the red. Now, this is back in the 90s, so this is a lot of money back then. Mm-hmm. And in less than 2 years, turned it around to a $5 million profitable business. Hats off to him. He did what he said he was going to do. He did it. Mm-hmm. And that was before the NWA and all the stuff that the big heads came through. But he did it. He pulled it off. And he had a good relationship with New Japan. That's the whole thing. He had the international market compared to WWE. WWE used to send their wrestlers to All Japan Pro Wrestling when Giant Baba owned it. And that's why you'll know somebody's fixing to leave a company, or somebody's fixing to go to another, like overseas or something. They'll leave the title here. They won't take the title with them. Now they do take the titles because they're going to come back. But that's an agreement of what's going on and what they're doing. But you have to be flexible and everything like that. It's just like NWA. NWA right now is starting to come back. They're building back up. Now, when Bruce Thorpe owned it and I was working with them, they had gone back to the old model of the territories. They had some of the territories on public television, on local television, not national television. They had a very good, strong working relationship with two companies in Japan, New Japan Pro Wrestling, and I can't remember what the other company is, but it's not Noah. And they were going over there. Several New Japan Pro wrestlers, Kojima and Tenzin, just to name two, held the NWA World title. Mm-hmm. It's one of those things. There's a lot of stuff that's going on behind the scenes that you never see. And you're seeing that now with WWE. With Vince going out, Triple H coming back in. Right. You saw that Strowman's back, Johnny Gargano's back, several wrestlers are back. The NXT 2.0 got dropped. They're back to the black and yellow right. NXT.
Yeah, Triple H is seemingly taking over the creative side of it, where he's really putting his fingerprints on the product.
But Triple H has also got to be careful because he can't be as involved as he was because of the stress levels. Triple H is done. Everybody needs to understand he will never wrestle again. Okay, he actually has a portable defibrillator inside his chest.
The only thing is that apparently didn't stop Flair.
I'm not okay. This you don't understand. You don't understand. This is completely different than Flair. Okay, the medical emergency that Triple H had was a 14-hour heart surgery. to save his life. Okay, he is not medically cleared to do anything. He's got to be very careful what he does. It has nothing to do with wrestling. He just said it's a genetic thing that his family, his father had, his grandfather had the same thing. So they just caught his in time, and so the only thing that really helped him was he was in such great shape, and he's having to be careful. That's why you don't see him on television. That's why you don't see him at all on television. And that's why he's basically
which I think is refreshing. I think the whole idea of owners, being part of the storyline, like Vince and Eric were back in the '90s. There, I think at this point, I think that we should just go back to more of a traditional format where the authority figures are just authority figures and unbiased.
Well, back in the '90s, Bischoff. That was a bad idea. But Vince had the facial expressions. Vince had the mic experience, so he could sell it as the bad villain. Same thing with Stephanie. If the whole thing was, and this is the whole thing, like that stuff between Stephanie and Jericho, she agreed to it. Okay, so I mean, all of the stuff she did on screen was on screen. In the back, they were fine. They were good friends. But when they got out there, they had to sell a story, and that's what they did. Right. The thing with Vince and Shane was they could actually work in the ring. They could actually go. I mean, Vince was built like a brick. I mean, if you go look,
even at 76 now, he's still built like a brick.
Well, yeah, but he doesn't need to be in the ring at all anyway. He's showing his age. But I'm talking about, back in the 90s when he's, late 40s, early 50s, he's built like a brick. Mm-hmm. And Shane was in his 30s. I mean, he was able to go.
I mean I'll tell you, wrestlers right now stuff comparable to RVD.
Well, look at Finn Balor. Okay, you see how he's in shape and like that. He's in his 40s.
I knew he'd been around a while, but
yeah, Finn Balor and AJ Styles are both in their 40s.
I know AJ Styles in his 40s. I do know that.
Finn Balor's 41 years old. He's 10 years younger than me, almost to the exact day. But yeah, Finn Balor did, yeah. The thing about it is,
Edge is up there. You do have a lot of guys who are kind of up there. Well, even in AEW, you have guys who are up there too.
Well, yeah, I mean, the thing is, and it's just like New Japan does too. I mean, the godsend was Jay White. Okay, that was the godsend. New Japan got him on a silver platter. When Jay White started out, he started his training in New Japan Pro Wrestling at 22 years old. He was young. He was a monster as a young lion. He was so good as a young lion. This is the guy that if you're watching New Japan Pro Wrestling, young lions are the training wrestlers. They're still in training. When they come out, they're in black tights, black boots, no knee pads.
I've been hearing a little bit about the Young Lion program because one of their recent graduates started wrestling more on Impact, Yuya Uemura.
Well, you know what's so special about him?
What?
He's the son of Red Shoes.
He's a son of who?
Red Shoes, the referee. He's known as Red Shoes Uno. He is the head referee for New Japan Pro Wrestling. His stick is he wears red shoes in the ring, so he's known as Red Shoes Uno. He is probably the greatest referee known today. Him and Tiger Hattori were the best two referees in the world at the time. At their time, he's the head honcho of all referees. It's his son that's in Impact. That's what John Moxley. Yeah, that's his son. But when Jay White came out, he was able to pick it up so fast, and he was so good that as a young lion, they gave him a 15-minute match solo with the Intercontinental Champion at the time, Kenny Omega. If you have not seen that match, oh my God. Kenny let him go for 15 minutes just to show what he could do, and he did not disappoint. That's why they were so fast to get him up into the main workings with Okada and Tanahashi and all them. They knew they had a monster. They know what they got, and they're paying him really good.
Yeah. Speaking of Kenny Omega, his suspension got lifted.
Well, yeah, it was his. I mean, Kenny. The reason Kenny got he was involved with it, but it wasn't. It was basically the Young Bucks versus CM Punk, and Kenny got in to help his buddies. That's what it
Right.
was. Do I think Kenny Omega is a great wrestler? Yes, I do. I really do. I think he needs to get a little better in shape. Looks like he's a little heavy, but he can still go. I like Kenny Omega. I really loved him the last 2 or 3 years he was in New Japan. The minute he joined the Bullet Club, I was really happy because I was at that Wrestle Kingdom when he came out with the Bullet Club for the first time, and that Wrestle Kingdom was fantastic. So I'm a fan of Kenny Omega. I like Kenny Omega. I like the Young Bucks. I really like Jay White. I love David Finlay. I think he's going to be fantastic. He was supposed to wrestle last night for the U.S. title, but because of the tsunami and everything, it didn't happen. So hopefully him and Will Ospreay will wrestle for the U.S. title again. Because
Let me ask. There's one other thing that I was wondering about. Maybe you might have heard it. So initially, there was a tag team match that was supposed to happen on Dynamite where it was going to be Hikaru Shida and Tony Storm against Serena Deeb and Dr. Britt Baker. But supposedly Shida was taken out of the match for some reason. They put Athena in. Do you have any idea what's going on with that? Because
she got sick.
like COVID sick?
No, she got sick. Not COVID sick, but she got sick. Things happen. I mean, you have to understand something. Anytime cards are subject to change. Okay.
Yeah.
One of the greatest ones to change was the match originally was supposed to be Finn Balor versus The Fiend. It was going to be the Demon versus, and what happened? He got ill. He got real ill. He got rushed to the hospital.
Finn Balor or The Fiend?
No, Rotunda got. So what happened? They flew AJ Styles all the way from Europe last second to come take the spot. So everybody was sitting there going like, what's going to happen? All of a sudden you get Finn Balor versus AJ Styles. Oh my God, the place erupted. One of the biggest pops you ever heard. And they did a 20-minute match that stole the entire show. And I mean, that happens. It's subject to change. Things happen. Same thing in New Japan.
I know that. I just was wondering what happened because all I know is I was watching Dark Elevation. They were showing a segment where Baker and Rebel had apparently gone in and attacked Shida and stole her stick, and now it was the card changed from Shida being involved in that.
That's how they write a character off. Especially if they're ill or they got an injury or something like that, they'll do something like that and they'll write them off for a while.
Yeah, I figured that. I figured that's the case. I'm aware of that aspect. It's just that I just didn't know because it did seem to come right out of the blue like that.
It's just like MGF. MGF, he's a great worker on the mic, great wrestler, stuff like that. That whole thing while he was gone for a while and everything like that. It was real simple. He got engaged.
He what?
He got engaged.
Oh.
That's why that's why you haven't seen him on set on TV for a while. It's like, hey, I need to take some time off. This is what I'm doing. Can I have the time off? Yeah, let's write you off. We'll do this and this way. You get mad at the company, you storm off, and then you come back in a couple months, and yeah.
Well, one of the things that looks like one of the things they seem to be trying to pitch here, which is why I'm not sure if they are going to put the title on Danielson or not. One of the things they seem to be pushing, storyline wise, is a possible rivalry between Moxley and MJF for the AEW World Title.
For me, I would say put it on Danielson. If they put it on Moxley, he needs to hold it more than a month.
Well, I think that's what they intend to do because at this point, if they do put it on him, I don't see him being a short-lived champion.
If you're going to have a war with MGF, and Moxley, or with Danielson, it doesn't matter. You got to let it run for 2 or 3 months up until your big pay-per-view. What I would do is right now it is middle of September. I would do a war between whoever the champion is in MGF and I would push it to the greatest event of the year. I would talk to see if they could defend it in Tokyo Dome. If they could do the match in the Tokyo Dome. Because why? You would have a global flock all over the place for that match and have it go. And if it's Moxley versus, because the Ring of Honor did that. They did it with Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly. And yeah, so they could do that. I would start the war now and run it all the way up until you get to the Wrestle Kingdom, and then do it in Wrestle
Well,
Kingdom.
and that leads into another interesting story. I don't know if you had heard, but Bobby Fish had asked for and got his release from AEW, and with O'Reilly and Cole still being out injured, what do you think that's going to all mean for the Undisputed?
I think they'll show up in New Japan.
I was thinking they were already showing up in New Japan. Oh, you think all three of them, you mean, will show up?
I think they'll all three show up in New Japan.
Yeah. Just because.
And you also, depending on what's going on in WWE, who knows? Because, I mean, I wasn't expecting Johnny Gargano to come back.
Well, yeah. Well, that's another big thing going on right now between both AEW and WWE. It's almost like they're on some kind of like hiring spree. They're like trying to go out and get all these wrestlers, and I think it's particularly for AEW, it's creating even more of a problem booking wise because you have all these top tier guys and you're not able to, but you're spreading them so thin. You're not getting them like Wardlow's not really getting.
Well, the difference between what's going on with WWE and AEW, WWE's got new management. Triple H wants to go. Triple H likes the smaller wrestlers.
Right.
Vince liked the bigger wrestlers. And and here's the thing that a lot of people don't understand. Also, when it comes to like Brock Lesnar stated he loved working with Finn Balor. He loves working with Ricochet, because why? He'll let them show off. He likes to work with the faster pace. He likes to work with like that. With Brock Lesnar, with him and Roman Reigns, it's just going to be punches. It's not going to be moves. It's not going to be anything. But Brock Lesnar picks who he wants to go with. And when he says, I want Danielson, or I want Balor, or I want AJ, or I want somebody like that, he's not going to do a squash match with them. He's going to work something out.
Yeah.
And
Well, I mean,
Brock,
Brock when he was
what's that?
Brock when he was in his prime, was probably a pretty well-rounded out. I mean, even before he came to the WWE his first time around, when he was still in OVW, and he brought this back for a match or two in WWE, he could do at 6'3", 6'4", 295. He could do a shooting star press.
Well, the thing,
you have a guy that big doing that kind of move. That's one of the most dangerous moves in all pro wrestling. You have this big guy doing it.
Yeah, the thing about Brock is, and people need to understand this. If you haven't noticed, Brock, since he came back, he's doing a lot more. But if you notice something else about Brock, he got rid of his stomach. He got in shape.
Yeah.
Okay, he really did. He got back in shape, because when he did that first run where he was just doing stuff like with Goldberg and stuff, he was not in shape. He was turning red. He was getting that wind and stuff like that. So he took a lot of time off to go get back in shape, and then he comes back. And he doesn't mind pushing Roman Reigns for a while. He doesn't mind it. I mean, Roman Reigns is not going to catch Bruno Sammartino. It's not going to happen. There's no way he's going to hold that belt for 7 years.
Yeah.
No way.
Even though from what everybody's been talking, from what a lot of the commentators been talking about, it's almost like, they're trying to make him hold. Like, I know the one big story on that is that they're wanting to have him hold on to the title or titles until WrestleMania, when he faces The Rock for him.
Well, we don't know if The Rock's going to be there. That's the whole point. We don't know what The Rock's going to do. But there's a whole lot of ifs going on like that. But with Lesnar, he can do whatever he wants, basically. And they're paying him a lot of money. But he's not. Lesnar, I'll explain Lesnar. I've met him a couple of times at the airport where I've had to do security with him. He is a nice guy. He's a nice guy. He's not a people person. Okay?
Oh, Lesnar?
Desner's not a people person. He
Yeah,
lived.
I've heard that too.
Well, here's the thing. He grew up in a very small town, like I did, but I was in the middle of Texas, and he was up in North Dakota. Okay, there's only 1,200 people in the town he grew up with. He's a farmer. He owns a ranch. He owns a farm. He lives out in the country with his wife and kids. I mean, that's what he does. Have you seen his truck? The monster he's got, that
No,
diesel Dodge 750 horsepower, all-wheel drive 4x4 monster of a truck he's got. He is a farmer, cowboy, rancher. That's what he likes to do. I mean, that's what he is.
yeah, we know that because
He's
you
not.
look at his character work of late. He's
Well,
been
no,
wearing the
that
cowboy hat.
that character is him. That's what he's really like.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've met him twice doing security for him at the airport where he goes to the airport. So I mean I met everybody, Randy Orton, everybody. You meet all of these guys. And the thing is, as long as like when I'm on the clock at the airport and I'm working, my fan is at home. I'm doing my job. That's why I can get close to wrestlers and talk with them. But it's a professional thing, and I keep myself professional. So it's one of those things. You have to if you're going to work at airports, you're going to work at something like that, and you're going to do security, or you're going to do something with people, be professional. Because why? Because when they're fixing to leave, they'll say, "Hey, wait a minute, let's get a picture." Like that. You'll get your chance, but keep professional and do your job.
Mm-hmm.
Because I guarantee you, the wrestlers will open up more to you because you're professional and doing your job than if you're a fan, and you're bothering them while they're trying to travel.
Yeah, I remember there was a story, I don't know if it was a month or two ago, where you actually did see that situation with Brock where I think at an airport or something like that, a fan tried to come up to him, I guess to get an autograph or something like that, and he just kind of, he didn't seem too happy about it.
No, I mean, that's what I'm saying. There's a time and place to get autographs and a time and place not to get autographs. And at the airport is not the time to do it. It's not, because there's
I think what a lot of fans need to do too, just remember these are real people, and you got to treat them with that level of respect. That
it's like when AJ Styles travels with his family. Okay, he travels with his wife and 4 kids. And so he's carrying bags, and he's carrying, he's got all his because he's got little kids, and so it's that you just make sure they get to their plane, make sure they get what they need and stuff like that. Because what? This is family trip. This is not wrestling. They're not on the clock. Let them be.
Yeah. Speaking of Roman Reigns, because I know we were talking about him a few minutes ago. I don't know if you heard, but I guess it's been announced he and Logan Paul are going to be taking each other on at Crown Jewel.
Anything that happens at Crown Jewel, I don't care. I really don't care about Crown Jewel. The Crown Jewels have always been a complete debacle anyway. So I just write it off and I just keep moving. Because
I was just letting you know. I
know. I already know what the list is. I already know what the matches are, and I'm like, good luck, because it's the Saudi Arabia show, and that's what it is. That's all it is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, because let's see. Impact has a couple of big pay-per-views coming up with Victory Road this Friday, and then on Friday, October 7th, they got Bound for Glory. So.
And there is a major one coming up for New Japan and Star. This is going to be an interesting pay-per-view because it's never happened in New Japan before. They did have the women wrestle at a Wrestle Kingdom, but they didn't air it. They were the first match. That was last year's Wrestle Kingdom. But this year they're going to do a special super show, and they're going to have the girls from Stardom and perform at the show. So if you have not seen the girls from Stardom, oh my God. Io Shirai, Kairi Sane, Asuka, all those Asian girls that you're seeing in Impact and WWE and everything, they all came out of Stardom. All of them.
Yeah.
And there is some wild girls in Stardom. And the bad thing, the weird thing about Stardom, and this is the honest truth about that, is these girls are nuts. They wrestle crazy. They do high fly stuff. They use kendo sticks. They use the whole thing.
Pull hair.
But they dress so freaking cute.
Mm-hmm.
I'm serious. They are gorgeous women. I mean, beautiful women.
Actually,
Japanese girl.
I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but I do remember watching AEW Dark Elevation show recently, where there was this one Japanese girl. You know, she was real cute. She was not only was she can't remember her name off the top of my head. Not only was
Is that
she
the one on
a
the?
wrestler,
Is that the
but
one at
she
the
was
pay
an
per view?
idol as well. She's apparently an idol as well.
Yeah. Well,
Nikki.
there's an idol championship in Stardom. Yeah. There's an idol. They actually have a man. Okay. You know they have King of the Ring for WWE.
Mm-hmm.
They have the Cinderella Ball in Stardom,
Hmm.
and the winner, and I'm not making this up, which I think is a really cool idea. She gets the Cinderella gown and tiara and everything. And boy, did they! I mean, they don't skimp on that dress. I mean, wow. The girl that won it this year, man, that dress. Woo.
This one girl I'm thinking of, she screams a lot. She has like her, even though she's in her 20s, she had like a real high, almost like little girl type voice.
Yeah, her name's Nikki.
Yeah, Nikki. You haven't watched Scream, I Am Stardom. A lot of the girls in Stardom have the high pitched voice. Starlight Kid, oh my God, she's nuts. She wears a mask, and yeah, she's got a high voice too. But I've got a bunch of autographed pictures from the Stardom from the day, so I've got a bunch of those. Because I like watching them. The girls are great. I mean, they are. The referees, I mean, they'll beat up on the referees. They don't play games. They do high risk maneuvers. They do moonsaults and everything off the top rope.
Well, I mean, I've seen some of that with like Shida, with Emi Sakura, and some of the other Japanese girls who wrestle in AEW. You know.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you get from Stardom. And Stardom's been around a long time. The thing is New Japan went in and bought Stardom, so Stardom got this influx of money, and they were able to really spruce up their shows. And now, they're the number one female wrestling organization in the world. But I mean, they're in Japan, but they're the number one, and they have it's not the Young Lion, I can't remember what they call them, but it's basically like the Young Lions things where they train women to wrestle. They go through their wrestling. It takes about 2 years to get through their program, and then you go out and start wrestling.
And I don't know if you'd also heard, but you know that Mickie James is doing her quote unquote last rodeo tour.
More hats off to her. More hats off to her. Yeah, I've heard it. More hats off to Mickie James. I mean, for somebody her age, and I'm not saying she's old, but as a female wrestler, she is. Hats off to her that she can still go. I mean, she's a mother of two. She has a wonderful husband. Her husband's Nick Aldis.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been married for quite a while. So, hats off to her. I wish her all the best. I have no hatred to any wrestler, especially when they retire and stuff. I mean, they did their shows. They formed. Let them have their wonderful lives with their families. Let them, if they go to a convention, go see them. But let them enjoy their lives. AJ, I think we did an hour and 20 minutes.
Yep. Well, like I said, it was RJ's nap time. So,
Well, there is one more comic story that I want to bring up, and this is something I mentioned to you the other day, RJ. And I don't know if you'd heard about this, James, but did you hear that DC is actually going to be celebrating Stan Lee's 100th birthday?
They already did it. Oh, yes, I know about. Oh man, Marvel.
I covered that article the other day.
Marvel is getting slammed hard because DC beat them to the punch. Oh my God, I couldn't believe it. Marvel got flat-footed. Oh man, you talk about eating.
DC probably can't believe it.
You talk about eating humble pie. Holy smoke! Hats off to DC Comics. They won up to Marvel, and especially on Stan Lee's 100th birthday. I mean, how could Marvel blow it like this? Oh my God, they blew it.
Okay, explain to some of us who may not be quite as in the know about how did Marvel blow it. Just explain that a little bit.
Marvel didn't put anything out.
Marvel didn't put anything out. Nothing at all.
No, nothing. DC rolls out 4 or 5 books, puts this stuff on social media. Happy birthday, Stan Lee, on your 100th birthday. Happy birthday. Like this. Everybody starts tweeting Marvel. Hey, what's going on, Marvel? Marvel had
They did all those Stan Lee characters that he created for DC for that Stan Lee Presents. And released it on his birthday.
But yeah, DC beat them. I mean, DC. Oh my God! This is one of the most embarrassing moments for Marvel Comics ever. How do you let your competitor beat you since your founder was going to be 100 years old and they beat you because you didn't do anything? How in the world could you do that?
Well, I know there are probably some of the people there. I figured there were some of the people. Part of that might be because some of the SJWs, as it were, at Marvel who looked at Stan Lee as being more of a pariah than anything else. Because
no. I mean, no, you don't do it that way. You don't do that because this is the founder of the company, and he's very popular. You put out, we're going to do a special X-Men edition for Stan Lee's 100th birthday. We're going to do a special Spider-Man. We're going to do special Avengers, all that stuff. And we forgot. I mean,
the thing is, when I read that article too, and they were talking about Stan Lee doing characters, initially I thought they were talking about like when they were doing like the Tangent and Amalgam stuff.
No, he actually.
Yeah, I know. I read the article. He actually did some stuff for DC.
Well, and there's also a set of books out. What if Stan Lee had created Superman? What if Stan Lee had created Wonder Woman? Where he reinvents Superman and Wonder Woman and all of the characters. They came out as graphic novels, and they blew out of the shells. I mean, they got great artists drawing them and everything like that. They were fantastic books. They were great. But yeah, Marvel blew it.
Too bad. Also, so sad.
Yeah, it looks like Disney is. Let's just say creditors are not happy with Disney.
Who's not happy with Disney?
Creditors. See, the monster in the room for any Hollywood or anything like that is the creditors. Creditors are the companies that actually loan you the money to do something. And when they start saying no, you start having problems because you can't finance stuff.
So let me ask you this. Do you think the creditors for Marvel are thinking that the only thing they're using the money for is to, I don't know, wipe their what's with it?
No, the thing is the creditors give it to Disney. Disney's the parent company. Okay, it's not, and I'll explain how this works. Disney goes to their creditors saying, "Hey, we need this much for this fiscal year. Case in point, we need $15 billion for this fiscal year for all these projects that we want to do. We're estimating a return of $4.5 billion. Okay, fine, we'll give you that. Well, at the end of the year, they come back. We only have a profit of $100 million. What? Or we actually lost money. You lost our money. That's the problem with creditors. Okay, that's the thing. That's what's going on with Disney.
Yeah, they probably feel like Disney is flushing their hard-earned cash down the.
Well, I've heard, and then I heard a new rumor. I don't know if this is a factorial because it hasn't come up for voting or anything like that to the stockholders. But NBC and Universal may fall under Discovery because they're hurting. Which means Zaslav would get NBC, all of Universal Studios, under his control, just like Warner Brothers and DC Comics and CNN and everything.
And the only problem is a lot of these companies that went woke and are going broke.
Well, the nightmare.
They're sinking, and yet they're still holding on to the woke.
No. I'll explain. The nightmare scenario is this, and this is what's hurt. This is what got a lot of people scared. Zaslav would own both CNN and MSNBC.
And why are people scared of that?
Why do you think?
Because a lot of the woke idiots are going to be out on the street.
Exactly. You would see. So the liberal media would be completely gutted because they would lose CNN and MSNBC. They would lose
Well,
both. of them.
they were drowning to begin with. Well,
It doesn't.
been doing as well either, but
Okay, Mike, you don't understand the liberal thinking. They don't care about money. They don't care. They're like, we have a message. We need to get this message out. We don't care if our fans
no,
don't.
I get that part because
The important thing about the money is that it's somebody else's.
When I do the news story,
Yeah, exactly. But the thing about it is now MSNBC's creditors are like going, hey, no, your ad revenue's down. You got to do something. CNN. The reason CNN's getting ripped apart and shredded is real simple. The advertising revenues for like Don Lemon's show was tanking badly. They were losing money on his show. That's why they pushed him into the morning to help with the morning show. He's going to be on on the morning show. He's on a much tighter rein. He doesn't have control like he did on his show. So it's that morning show where you have a co-anchor and you're doing the morning news, and that's it. That's where he's at.
there's no commentary or anything like that.
Now, as for Anderson Cooper, I don't know what's going to happen with him, but there is something a lot of people don't know about Mr. Cooper, and I do know this for a fact. He's a Vanderbilt.
Actually, I had heard that before.
He is the only surviving Vanderbilt. He
Well, he's not going to reproduce. So
that's what I'm saying. But if he leaves, he's not hurting for money. But yeah, that's the thing about that.
So from what I've heard, I don't see Anderson Cooper reproducing.
Well, I'm not worried about him reproducing. I'm just saying. I'm saying a lot of people don't know that he is the only. He's a Vanderbilt. He is the only son of the Miss Vanderbilt who passed away. He is the only heir to the Vanderbilt fortune, and he has the Vanderbilt fortune. So if he walks away, he can walk away and not have to worry about anything. But I do see a lot more changes coming to CNN because they got to get their revenue up. They've got to get those advertisers back.
Well, they did let Brian Stelter go.
Oh, there's a lot more people that got let off. A lot more. Okay.
And I know Rachel Maddow is on MSNBC, I believe.
But she's leaving. She's basically leaving.
By her own thing, or are they letting her go?
No, she's leaving on her own accord. If you haven't noticed
Is
her,
that because she sees the writing on the wall?
pretty much. But you're seeing the ramifications of the companies went so long with losing money that they can't lose money anymore. Now they have no choice but to fix what they broke.
Well, one of the other funny things that I saw a headline recently that I guess now with a lot of these changes happening, like at CNN, even Trump has talked about, going on CNN more than Fox.
Well,
like they're like trading places. Like
no, not
CNN
really.
becoming the conservative bastion, while Fox is being more establishment.
No, Fox is the conservative news channel. That's what they are. What they want to do with CNN, and this is what I was told at the creditors meeting, neutral. Facts, stories. We're going to tell it like it is. You decide
they're just going to get rid of all their editorial department altogether.
Well, it's going to go back to like what headline news was.
Huh.
The headline news where it just told the facts, the whole facts and stuff like that. If they do a show, you'll probably see a show like Crossfire where you have both sides take part, which needs to happen, stuff like that. But you're not going to see the just anti. I hate everything that's conservative. I hate everything that's this. I hate everybody that's this. If you voted for Trump, you're a terrorist. If you didn't vote liberal, you're a terrorist. So like that. When people say that on screen, that turns people off.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's happening. And you're seeing the backlash. CNN's ratings are the worst it's had in 25 years. It's not good. They're not able to. It's just really not good. And a lot of ABC, NBC, CBS is starting to see this too, that their revenues are going down. Disney, I don't know what's going on with Disney. Disney has to be seeing these numbers. if they're anything like Warner Brothers numbers, Disney has to be scared out of their mind, and they got to be sitting there going like, "How do we fix this mess?" And it looks like they're not doing it, especially Feige. They need to sit Feige down and say, "Hey, you got to fix this mess," because the last two movies you rolled out, I mean, bombed. And
Well, apparently, Bob Chapek, the CEO of Disney, has upset a lot of people too. Because my sister,
he may be
had,
voted
she, had,
out.
she had a pass to Disneyland, a year pass, and she gave it up because I guess something Chapek recently said about.
No, I'm hearing the parks are not that good. They've cut back a lot on the parks. A lot of their services have been cut back. And people are getting upset because, hey, this was there 2 years ago. Now it's not there. And you raised your prices again. Why? What's going on? And Disney's not answering them. The thing about it is right now, they got to be looking at what they're doing because they're losing money like that. I know Coates is out. He has no interactions now with anything of Marvel Studios movies or TV. He's out. So that may be a change there coming. I did hear about X-Men, but this is what I heard about X-Men. So all this stuff on Twitter and stuff, you can take it for a grain of salt. All the
Okay, so what do you
hold
have
on,
now?
hold on. I'm going to tell you exactly what I found out. All the people that were in the X-Men movies, that have been in the X-Men movies, okay, that means Patrick Stewart, Hugh Jackman, all of them, even the young girl that played Rogue, who's older now, their contracts are locked in tight till 2025. So if you're going to do an X-Men movie, you must cast them. They are locked into those characters till 2025. And that means they cannot do anything X-Men related titles until 2025. They can't even make the announcement till 2025.
Unless, of course, they use the characters. Use those.
If they use the characters, they got to bring out Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. They got to bring out Halle Berry as Storm, or the other girl that played Storm in the newer X-Men movies. What's her name? That was in Game of Thrones. I forgot her name. That played Jean Grey.
Famke Janssen.
That played Sansa.
No, Famke Janssen played Jean Grey.
No, Sansa played Jean Grey in the last two X-Men movies.
Famke was in the first one.
Yeah, we're talking about the last two X-Men. So those any of those characters are the last two X-Men. They can use any of those characters. Same, especially with the young guy that played Cyclops and stuff like that. They can bring all those guys in. Quicksilver, the whole thing. That's why if you notice, when they were bringing Quicksilver in, it was what's his name that was in the movies, and they were like, okay, wait a minute, this is in the 70s and early 80s. How is he in 2000s and still looks as young? So they had to change it up, saying that no, this is not really the Quicksilver. He just looked like him. You know what I'm saying? When they did Wanda.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the thing. They're locked in until 2025. So they can all sit there and scream and yell and everything they want to. But yeah.
Well, guys, I need to wrap this up because
It's been
I'm
fun.
passing out.
It's been fun.
Well, I think
Don't-
James and I had a pretty good conversation with all the wrestling.
Yeah, it could have you could have been your own show right there. Just,
Hey, Glacier. Yeah, you're coming in right as we're fixing to stop.
Yep. We
But yes, but one thing left but go pick up the Steins if you can find them because they're selling out really fast. I do still have some on my website, so if you want them, hop over there, pick them up.
and
Like
that
I said,
website is linked below.
like I said,
along
it
with,
is blowing out everywhere. I know Amazon has some, but they don't have some or something like that. Walmart they got some in, but they're already sold out again. So yeah, I don't know what's going on, but I thank everybody who bought them. Thank you for putting me in the top 20 of horror. I really appreciate that. That puts me front page and center. So I'm very happy about that. So thank you. Thank to everybody who picked up my book. I don't care who you are, but thank you so much.
And since we're finishing up, I'll make my last pitch of the night here. You can catch me Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern on the Mic Stand on my channel. Monday through Thursday, of course, we do kind of a niche newscast where I go over, articles covering niche topics such as anime, comics, cartoons, manga, pro wrestling. And then on Fridays, we do I do a historical comic retrospect where I go back and look over, old comics. We're right now in the midst of 1939. I have a rotating set of co-hosts, RJ being one of them. And if you want to learn more, if you really want to get a good deep dive and learn a little bit more about these comics, or even look at how like the writing or art were at those times, you check out my Friday shows in particular. You can really learn a lot. Right, RJ?
That is correct. And the link to the mic stand is also below the video. So hit them both up. Check it out. I just dropped in the link.
And I have a new high on subscribers too. I'm now up to 161 subscribers, by the way.
Excellent.
That's the highest
I just
number
dropped in the
I've
link
ever had.
693 to the chat. James, there's no image for the hardcover on Amazon.
I don't know what happened with that. They're still playing with it. Like I said, they came in so fast. It went right out the door so fast. So,
but anyway, that is dropped in the link, guys. It's been a pleasure. I will see you all again probably in 2 weeks. I don't know. The calendar is playing fast and loose. I've got a convention to be at in 2 weeks. So actually, probably no. I won't see you in 2 weeks.
Speaking of conventions, if you're going to be in the DFW area in November, I'm going to be at the horror convention at the Irving Convention Center on the 19th, 20th, and 21st. So come by and see me. They're supposed to have a lot of actors, a lot of actresses for horror. I know from Halloween. I believe they said that Jamie Lee Curtis is going to be there. So it should be fun. So
absolutely.
Yeah, it's going to be a blast. I'll be there all 3 days. So look me there.
Cool. All right. Well, everybody in the chat, thank you for showing up tonight. And while you were here, obviously.
Your favorite podcast, it's Chris.